What's up YouTube? This is going to be our guide on how to use Gastrodon in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I'll be providing competitive movesets and some fun meme movesets too. If there's a Pokemon you'd like to see me cover, put it below in the comment section of the video. If you enjoy these, they help you out, drop a like, and let's get into it. So, Gastrodon is a pretty solid Pokemon with good typing being water and ground and some solid abilities. We've got Sticky Hold, Storm Drain, and Sand Force. So, Gastrodon's got some pretty reasonable all-round bulk with pretty good typing as well and can make a nice support style Pokemon. So, let's have a look at the first sort of set here. So, for mostly singles, we've got it as a Stealth Rock lead here, or just a Stealth Rock tank. We've got Stealth Rock and Recover. Recover is a great recovery move on Gastrodon. We got Earth Power, which is on pretty much every single Gastrodon set. It's a great special ground type move. And Ice Beam is good for any opposing grass type Pokemon and just, you know, general coverage. Now, the item I've got on this one is Rindo Berry, so it's able to live a grass-type move a little bit better. That way you don't have to go for a Terra-type straight away, because it's not really a Pokemon you want to be Terra-typing too often, really. I've given this one Terra-type Poison, so it can resist that big 4 times weak grass. Also, Toxic and stuff like that, it's good for it too. So I would suggest Terra-type Poison. Steel could work as well, Terra-type Steel. That would be another one. I quite like that on Gastrodon, so that could work too. Any of those ones are going to be useful. You could even go Fairy as well, just being only a weak to a couple of things. That could also be another kind of like defensive type too. So there's a couple of options there for Gastrodon. So, EV spread, I've got this one as max health and max special defense, bold nature. So, more special defensive. Unfortunately, it doesn't get Scald. I think like, a lot of Pokemon don't get Scald, but if it ever got Scald in the future, that would be a great move to run it. But this one is mainly just tanking hits, setting up Stealth Rock, and recovering off and doing bits of damage there. Now, this can be coupled with some pretty good Pokemon too that also might be able to, you know, phase out the opponent and have spikes and toxic spikes and other things too. So I will go into some partners and stuff later on. Abilities. Now, funnily enough, Storm Drain is definitely its best ability, but Sticky Hold actually isn't all that bad either, because you can retain your item. Now, I'm not talking about maybe Rindo Berry here, but even Leftovers, that's another good item on it. Leftovers, so you can retain your item, and that's pretty good for Gastrodon. It can be very important for it to have its item, especially if you don't run Recover. Leftovers is pretty, you know, important there for Gastrodon. Storm Drain is going to draw on all those water type moves and give it a +1 as special attack and have the water immunity. So very, very good ability, that one for sure. I feel like you can be a little bit more choosy about it in singles though. You can definitely have Sticky Hold as well. That's definitely not a bad ability on Gastrodon for singles. So whatever one you like there, I went with the Sticky Hold for Rindo Berry. So that's sort of the first Gastrodon set. Let's have a look at the next one. So Gastrodon also gets spikes as well. So it gets Stealth Rock and spikes. So some really, really good entry hazard moves here for singles. And we've got Earth Power, Surf, Recover, and Spike. So kind of similar to the other set. Now, Ghost Terror. So Ghost Terror can be useful in case you've got an opposing Pokemon that has Rapid Spin. You can use Terra-type Ghost to actually block that. It's quite useful. And any real powerful normal-type moves too, which are going to be like, you know, Morse Holds, Population, or Cincino. Any moves like that are normal-type moves aimed at Gastrodon. Because Gastrodon's only really weak, 4 times weak to Grass, so it can get hit by a lot of neutral moves, is what I mean. So Ghost can be a good one there for sure for any normal type moves. The EV spread, this one's a little bit, definitely a lot more defensive. So max health and max defense, bold nature. And yeah, we're kind of similar to the other set there, but we're sort of running a more defensive set rather than special defense. So you can kind of You can kind of slot that onto your team if you need more of a defensive set or more of a special defensive set. It's not all, it doesn't have to be either one or the other. I gave this Storm Drain as well. It kind of depends on your team, right? It really does depending on your team. I like Storm Drain for any fire-type Pokemon, and then you could swap it into Gastrodon. It's always very, very good for that. And there's quite a few Pokemon you can actually team it up with and stuff like that. But I'll get to that in a bit. So that's another sort of set you can use. You might be able to do a choice spec set on Gastrodon. It doesn't really have a lot of special attack though. So it's more of a support Pokemon in my opinion, and spreading entry hazards and spikes, at least in more singles style of play. All right, let's have a look at doubles for VGC. Okay, so I'm going to do a support and more of an offensive set. So let's start off with the support set. So Gastrodon, I think, works very, very well with Terra-type Fire and Storm Drain, which is excellent. So if you're a Terra-type Fire, if someone uses a Water-type move on you, you're going to get a Storm Drain, which is really, really good. And it's going to boost your special attack by 1 stage and give you Water immunity. So excellent, right? Rocky Helmet's a good item on there. Covert Cloak is a good item too. Earth Power, Icy Wind is good for dropping the opponent's speed. Helping Hand is good for allies if you need to bolster their attack a little bit. And we've got Protect on there too. So Protect is just good if you get ganged up on and just want to scout out some moves. It's very, very good for that. The EV spec on this one is a little bit more involved. So we've got max health, and I've got 156 in defense and 100 in special defense with bold nature. I'm just trying to optimize the EVs here and make it bulky on the defensive and special defensive side, giving it a good amount of EVs in its defense and health, so it's able to live like the most common moves there used outside of 4 times weakness moves, of course, but definitely that would be able to live a lot of attacks there, which is good. And it's got a very, very good health stat too, which is nice. Storm Drain's the go definitely in doubles. Don't worry about Sticky Hold and stuff. It's kind of more niche stuff for like knockoff, really. So I'd just be worrying about Storm Drain in doubles specifically if that were me. And I like Terra-type Fire. I think that's pretty good. You could do Terra-type Ground if you wanted to as well. I guess you could get the same sort of effect there. It's just not as good if you were to do Ground, because even if someone uses a Grass-type move against you, well, it's still going to be super effective. So it's kind of like bad that way. Whereas if you do Fire, you get the benefit of resisting Grass, and you get the same benefit of having someone use a Water-type move on you, right? So I think that's probably the best sort of Terra to go with Gastrodon in this case here. So we've looked at a support set. Let's look at a more offensive Gastrodon set. So I gave this Assault Vest to give it a little bit more special defense. So I thought that'd be interesting. And we're going to go max health and max special attack, Quiet Nature. So more under Trick Room. I think this could work rather nicely. So I gave it Terra-type Poison, so I could resist that the obvious Grass weakness. It actually gets Sludge Wave, which is really cool. So that's going to be a nice move there for doubles, hitting both of the opponents. It also gets Muddy Water. You could give it Surf as well over Muddy Water if you want a little bit more base power. Muddy Water could actually work well on this set too. Maybe instead of Helping Hand or Icy Wind, you could have that. Muddy Water is good for hitting both the opponents. Plus, it's got a 30% chance to drop the accuracy. So it could be useful. You might be able to get a couple of accuracy drops that might turn the tide of the match. Earth Power, obviously, that's on every set. And Gastrodon is always liking having Ice Beam on there for Grass types, Dragon types, ground types, stuff like that. So it's just a great coverage move all round is Ice Beam. But it is going to be hitting a fair bit harder since we're running like more of a sweeping style set. Now, I suppose you could run this a support style set as well with having no special attack if you run a bulky, but it's not really going to do a lot of damage, right? So I'm trying to give you something here that's going to actually do a bit more damage than a support style set. Not that it's going to be mostly outclassed with this sort of set. Other Pokemon are going to be able to do a lot better, but I just thought I'd recommend something that's a little bit different to the more standard style support set, on Gastrodon. So, some other ones I can bring up here. I would actually I'll do my last couple of sets, and then I'll bring up some counters for Gastrodon, some teammates, and some other thoughts, of course. So we'll have a look at that. Okay, so some other Pokemon sets here we got. So we got a couple of PIMPNITE specials here. Let's check them out. So Gastrodon actually gets Mirror Coat Encounter, which is really, really cool. So I thought I could make this fun set with Mirror Coat Encounter and have Custap Berry too. So a pure support Pokemon, but it might be able to take a big hit and then drop the next Pokemon stats, or potentially put them to sleep or cause a swap. So we've got Mirror Coat Counter, Yawn, and Memento, and I've got max special attack. I'll give it max. I'll go max defense here, and max speed. Matter of fact, I was actually going to give it, instead of Yawn, I was going to give it Hydro Pump. That's why I've got special attack EVs. I just realized why I did that. So we've got max special attack and max speed, modest nature. I didn't really want to put any more into defense and special defense because I want the opponent to do damage to me. So Mirror Coat Encounter can actually do some damage. And then I can got Custap Berry. Custap Berry at a quarter health is going to give me priority. So I can either go for a Hydro Pump, or if I feel that's going to do nothing, I'll go for Memento and then swap my next Pokemon and try and set up on them, because I'll have a -2 in special attack and attack. So bit of an interesting set there, but it could work. It could be a fun set. I've got Sticky Hold as well, so Custap Berry won't get knocked off, and then you're sort of stuck there on a low amount of health, not outspeeding anything at all. So another PIMPNITE special there. Let's have a look at a physical set for Gastrodon. Now, it actually gets Sand Force as its last ability. This isn't used very much. Not too much. It can be good for tricking opponents. Say if you've got a sand team, you can put a Gastrodon on there. You can actually fool the opponent into thinking you've got Sand Force, but you've got Storm Drain instead. So that's Gastrodon does work well on sand teams too. So just a little thought there. So we've got Earthquake, Rock Blast. We've loaded dice, Terra Blast, Steel, and Curse. I'm really trying to make use of Sand Force because you've got Ground, Rock, and Steel attacks. So I try to load it up with all those attacks. Max Health and Max Attack, Adamant Nature. Or you could do Brave if it was under Trick Room, and have like a Tyranitar support there for it, and then that could set the Sand up, and then you could get the Sand Force boost. So interesting sort of set there you could try out. Could be fun. And yeah, some good sets there. Let's go over and some teammates now. Okay, so some good teammates you could have alongside Gastrodon. So Gastrodon's really, really weak to grass, right? So any flying types, like I think a Corviknight's would definitely be a good partner for it to just, I guess mainly synergy-wise, that'll be really, really good for sure. Let's have a look at some other ones there. So that'd be good for singles for sure. Corviknight. I'll try and break it up a little bit. Even doubles, that would be a pretty good partner as well. Just for its typing and stuff like that. Now to get around those grass Pokemon, ice Pokemon can be pretty good too. I was going to say Iron Bundle's not too bad. I mean, I know Iron Bundle is a water type as well, but it can get rid of a lot of those annoying grass type Pokemon, so they can work well together, Plus, this is also weak to electric, so you've got Gastrodon be able to swap in because Gastrodon is a ground type Pokemon too, so they can make a good team synergy together, so that could be really nice. For singles, even for doubles as well, Grimmsnarl's a good partner. Grimmsnarl can set up some screens as well, and help support Gastrodon just with extra bulk while it sets up any entry hazards or anything like that. That could be useful for singles for sure. Even for doubles too, you could have that. You could set them up. That would be kind of a really nasty, bulky combination between those Pokemon, and any screens as well. So counters. Let's have a look here. So there's so many. Let's be real. There's so many grass type Pokemon that can counter this Pokemon. Meowscarada, Ogerpon, Rillaboom, like all those Pokemon are going to heavily counter. Really, really heavy. I'd say probably I'd say any of these are going to be very useful against it. That's why I like to suggest Terra-type Fire on Gastrodon, because it's such a good Terra threat. It really, really does cover its weakness well. And say if you got something like Ogerpon, like Wellspring, well, if they try and go for their signature move too, that's going to be activating Storm Drain. So, you know, that's pretty good actually. Like a very, very good one to go for there. A good partner too is also a good counter, which is Rillaboom. That's a great partner for that. Now, we could also go with, how about Slowking's not too bad either. Slowking Galar. That could work in well, because that could be a good Trick Room Pokemon. Plus, sometimes, you know, you've got any poison type moves aimed at that. That can be useful for Slowbro too. A good like synergy between these two Pokemon. So I could definitely see that one working too for Gastrodon. Gastrodon's very good because it can fit into so many different teams. It really can. Or you can use Fire type Pokemon too, and just as I mentioned before, you can use Fire type Pokemon. Actually, you know, a good synergy is Chandelure, right? So Chandelure can bait out any water type moves, and then any grass type Pokemon Chandelure can deal with. So they make quite a good synergy there for sure. Yeah, definitely. So I would have those as even singles or doubles. That would work nicely. They're very good sort of synergy there for sure. And also, you know, it being weak to ground as well. So it just works really well. So those two are definitely a good kind of pair to go for. I'm trying to think of some. There really is a lot of other, you know, good ones for Gastrodon. It just works so well with a lot of them. So we've had a sort of a talk about some team mates, some counters, which is, let's be real, mainly grass type Pokemon. As for Terra, you're probably wondering, do you want to Terra this Pokemon? I wouldn't probably Terra this Pokemon that often or at all. There's going to be better options. There really is. So I probably wouldn't. Another good partner too, not a bad partner, could be Orthworm as well. That's like, you could have Orthworm, Chandelure, and Gastrodon. That makes quite a good little core there, covering each other's weaknesses. So I kind of like that core. You could have like Chandelure, Flash. Yeah, so you've had like Orthworm, Chandelure, Flash Fight, and Gastrodon. That's not a bad little core there of like all covering each other's weaknesses. It's very, very good synergy there for sure. So that could definitely be a good one. Amoonguss is a pretty good counter to Gastrodon as well. Definitely a good counter. Trying to think of some other good ones that will work there. I feel like I've covered most of them. Definitely covered most of them. For sure. Let's have a look now at some other options for Gastrodon. If you got any movesets or anything you want to add, please do in the comments. Always like to hear that. Okay, let's start on the status move. So it does get Acid Armor, so you might be able to do like a Recover and Acid Armor set in singles. That could work. It gets Amnesia and Acid Armor, so you might be able to do some kind of Stoli set there with Recover and Amnesia, but then you're sort of stuck with only one attacking move. So I don't know, maybe just the Stall. That's about it. It does get Curse. You might be able to do a physical set. Memento, that's not a bad support move, Memento. It does get Pain Split, but usually there's real no point in using that because you've got Recover. It's superior in virtually every way. We've gone over Spikes and Stealth Rocks. That's good for the any singles teams. That's definitely great for that. Doubles, have got Helping Hand. That's about it. And you've got Yawn as well, so you might be able to go Yawn. Yawn, like instead of Helping Hand, you might be able to have Yawn on here instead. So that could work, protecting Yawn. That always works very, very well. For any combination like that works well. It's just and in singles it works well too, because especially if you got, you know, Energizers on the field, they're going to take like extra damage. And if you've got Toxic Spikes, there's even more. So, and that's where that Terra Ghost one comes in. Someone tries to clear them out and stuff. But yeah, that's its status moves. Let's have a look at its special moves now. So Gastrodon doesn't really have a lot of special moves. I haven't really touched on Clear Smog. Now, yeah, Clear Smog's actually pretty good because you can remove any of these stat changes and just reset them. So you might be able to slide it onto one of these sets as well. Yeah, you might be able to slide it onto one of these sets here, like these double sets. So it kind of depends what your team needs there, but Clear Smog can work there. Even in singles, that can work too. There's a lot of great support moves this Pokemon can have, right? And yeah, okay, so yes, we got Clear Smog. I think I mentioned it gets Chilling Water, but I don't know. It's no Scald, right? It'd be great if it got Scald again. So I think it did. So like, and then a lot of Pokemon lost Scald. But if it ever gets Scald in the future, use Scald. It's very good for spreading burns. And it just makes Gastrodon a real pain in the ass to actually faint, you know. It has Weather Ball, so you might be able to put it on a rain team. Wouldn't be too bad. That would be okay. And another thing about Gastrodon too, which is really good, it can shut down a lot of Pokemon that like to use Volt Switch. And there are a lot of those. It can shut down a lot of Volt Switch Pokemon, which is great. And it can create that and then set up Spikes and Stealth Rock, or just in general and double, so it can stop momentum very, very well for any of those scouting teams with Volt Switch. So it's very good for that as well. Very, very good. Where was I? Okay, yeah, so looking at a special move. So we've gone over that. Earth Power's on every set. Hydro Pump is, look, it's more there for a kind of real offensive set. So you don't really get to see that one too often. Maybe, maybe you've got like a Storm Drain Gastrodon. You deliberately you use obviously water type moves and boost up at special. You could do that as well via ally like Surf and stuff. Then we got Weather Ball. We've got Icy Wind. We've got a Mirror Coat as well. Muddy Water's not too bad for doubles. It can drop accuracy. We've gone over that. Yeah, there's not too much. It does get Whirlpool as well, which is interesting. I might be able to make a trapping set. And as for its physical moves, they're fairly barren. You could do something, I don't know if it would, maybe a bait for like a grass Pokemon. You could have Counter and Mirror Coat with a focus, like Counter Mirror Coat with a Sash. Maybe that could be a good, a somewhat good Pokemon for getting rid of like a complete grass counter, like Rillaboom or something like that. That could just drop Rillaboom. I don't know, some little, maybe go Protect on there too, so the Fake Out doesn't get, bust your Sash and stuff like that. So you could have something like that to, an anti-Rillaboom counter with Protect and Counter. So that could be something maybe you want to try too, a bit more gimmicky. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Gastrodon. Gastrodon is a great support Pokemon. That's kind of its main thing. Now, I've just thought of another pretty good partner as well as Bronzong. Bronzong's pretty good. It can swap into any of those grass-type moves. And also, that Spike set I was talking about. You could probably run that alongside of it with Spikes and Stealth Rock. This would be more singles played, but just thought I'd mention this. They work fairly well together and with Levitate and stuff like that too. So that's another decent partner for sure. And then its fire weaknesses, any fire type Pokemon come in, well, you've got Gastrodon then. So pretty good little call there. But to sum things up, Gastrodon can work on a various amount of teams. It's got so many good support type moves. It's got good typing. It's only got one really big weakness, which is kind of easy to work around if you've got the right Pokemon on your team, or you've got the right Terra if you want to. And yeah, it's a good Pokemon, and it sees a bit of usage because of its good ability and good typing, and overall a good pool of moves for support, and above average bulk pretty much. And yeah, that's about it for Gastrodon. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, you enjoyed it, found something new, or got anything to add, leave it on the video, drop a like on there, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.